Hello, everybody. So I have a very requested video today. We are going to be going over how to get better at Destiny 2 PvP. So I have 11 things that I'm going to be going over with of how to improve and get better at PvP in general. With 11 things, we obviously have a fair amount of topics to go over, and not all of them will be as important as others. So I kind of marked it as least important to most important for the most part. And the first two tips will be more Destiny related, and then the rest are more FPS tips in general. With the last three, honestly, being the most important tips that I could give anyone ever. So be sure to stay tuned for that. All right, getting on with number one, your radar. So with your radar, when you're within 0 and 5 meters, someone will blink in the middle like that, as you can see up in the top left-hand corner. But then when you get to a solid 6 to 23, they will continue to be on that outer rim of your radar, as you can see, no matter what side they go on. That just means they are within 6 to 23 meters. And then if you go all the way back here, going all the way back up to a nice 47, then they go away. But all the way from 24 to 47 meters, they will be on the outer rim of your radar, making it so like that is pretty far right there, realistically. Your radar picks up a lot, and it is a very, very important tool to look at, just so you know what's going on. Another quick thing to note here is when you're on level with somebody, you'll see how the slice of the pie there is just completely red. But when you get on a different level with them, it will get a little lighter when you get closer. You can see it as I jump up. Darker, lighter, darker, lighter. And then for the close one in specific, when they're above you, it will just show an outer rim of red for the close part of the radar. But then if you're on, it will start blinking. So it makes it very easy to just kind of know where your opponent is just by looking at your radar if you can read it correctly. So the radar is one of the most important things you can possibly be using. Knowing how to read it is very important. And honestly, you should be looking at it most of the time throughout playing your game. Obviously, if there are people around, focus on that. But even in the middle of gunfights, typically if I down an opponent, I will take a quick glance at my radar just to see what is happening. Because it can tell you a lot of information, especially if you're a sniper or a shotgun player. It can help predict where people are going to go and makes it very easy to know the flow of the match by reading your radar correctly. All right, let's get on with number 2. So Destiny 2 is a first-person shooter, of course. So aiming is something that is important. Though it's a lot easier to aim in Destiny 2 and other FPSs, of course, it's still important to keep your aim sharp. If you're an M&K player like I am, I definitely recommend you try doing some aim training. There's obviously Kovacs and aim labs available on Steam. Even if you try to get in at least 3 to 5 minutes before you jump on and play, it will definitely help you out a lot. In my opinion, aim training doesn't necessarily help your aim improve, like a lot, but it helps keep you pretty consistent. If you just do it as a warm-up and then you keep doing it, it will definitely improve and you'll see consistencies. Now, for my controller friends out there, unfortunately, I don't believe there are any programs. I could be wrong, but even if you just go into a patrol in PvE and just run around and just shoot some stuff for a bit, and focus on hitting the head, or just even playing quick playing, just super focusing on trying to hit the head, I feel like that will help you out a lot. All right, this is where stuff starts to get more important. So on to number 3 on my list, and it's play your life. In every game mode, this is very important, but in game modes such as Trials, it is the most important thing you can do. Most of the time, your life is much more important than getting a kill in these competitive game modes. So it is very important to live most of the time, even if it means giving up a kill. Even if you get somebody weak, a lot of times you can be throwing away the game if you fly in to try to finish that kill, because a lot of times their team is there to back them up. So even if you get the kill, you're typically making it more difficult on your team if you go down. Now, overall, this tip seems pretty easy in practice, right? Just don't die. Well, the hard part is not overdoing it. If you play your life too hard, you're probably not helping your team. So it's very important to find a middle ground between not throwing your life away, but also not doing nothing for your team. That is where tip number 4 comes into play, positioning. Positioning is very important in FPS games, and honestly, if you position correctly, it helps play your life. So that is why I'm going to talk about both these tips together. So a lot of the time when you die, it's because you didn't position yourself correctly. You positioned yourself poorly. In Destiny 2, most meta primaries all have a base time to kill between 0.67 seconds and 0.86 seconds, if not a little bit longer if you're talking about 120 hand cannons. So if you're dying to a primary a lot, It's probably because you're not positioning correctly. So if you're in a hand cannon 1v1, you should always be peek firing and always have an exit strategy. So if you get hit twice, you make it very easy to get out. But it's not only hand cannons you need to do this with. It's very important to play close to cover with every gun you are using. You always need to find a way out. One of the reasons hunters are so good is the ability to mess up their positioning and get back into cover. So if you want to work on playing your life and positioning, then just work on playing closer to cover. All right, so number 5 is learn all the classes. Look, I get it. You love playing Hunter. You love zooming around at sonic speed with stompos, right? But in PvP games, it is very important to think about what the enemy players are going to do. If you don't understand how the other classes work, it makes it very hard, if not impossible, to predict what they're planning on doing. I'm not going to say you have to go main Titan if you don't like Titan, but everyone should know how the other classes work. If you really want to bring your game to the next level, you need to try playing every class even a little bit just to understand it. Because you know what they say, to know your enemy, you must become your enemy. Now, this will take some time, but at least spend some time in PvE or perhaps even some private matches with some friends, just playing on other classes, trying out different exotics, just learning how to use other classes. Obviously, things such as, YouTube, such as my channel like myself, goes over a bunch of different builds, so it does help you, understand in that way, but nothing really will teach you unless you physically try playing things yourself. And who knows, maybe you'll find something fun along the way. Number 6 is play the meta. I know some of you might not like that. Some of you are really against using the meta, so on and so forth. But if you want to get better, you need to learn a meta and play it. It's not just in Destiny 2 where metas are a thing. It doesn't matter if you're playing a MOBA like League of Legends, a Battle Royale like Apex Legends. You could play a competitive shooter like Valorant or CS. It doesn't matter. There's always a meta, and the top players will always use it. So you need to learn how to play the meta. There's no honor system. There never has been. When you're going into comp or trials and you want to win, you need to play the meta if you want to get that sweet, sweet golden chest. If you need to know what the meta is, you can always head over to something like Trials Report or Destiny Tracker, see what people are using. They always have the stats over there. Or honestly, you can just play 3 games and you'll see that you play 9 Bubble Titans in those 6 games. And I think you can figure out what the meta is. All right, so number 7 is adapt. You need to learn to adapt to the enemy team. So if you're pushing into Endless, or you're challenging with a sniper on Endless every time, for example, and you just keep getting sniped over and over and over again, then you should stop challenging that lane. I know for me personally, I will only do things once, maybe twice, if I'm really, really feeling it. But for the most part, I will challenge a sniper lane once, and if I get the snipe on them, cool. I'll keep challenging, whatever. But if the second they snipe me, I'm going to stop doing that. Or if we keep pushing into mid and dying, it's not worth it. We need to switch it up. We need to go B side, and if they're playing super AP with shotguns, then we just need to adapt to their play style and play with our primaries and just sit back and team shot and not play so aggressive. They are better at playing aggressive. We need to adapt to that. It's very, very important. And sometimes you're going to try to adapt and it's just not going to work out. Sometimes the other team is just better, or they're playing really good, or whatever it is. But the important part is that you are at least trying to adapt, because the more you do it, the more success you will get with it. And the more you're going to learn how to adapt to certain situations. If somebody is pushing you a lot with a shotgun, you're going to learn to play slower. If somebody has a bow, you need to learn to not commit to a fight. If somebody has a sniper and they're consistently doming you, you're going to learn to play tighter angles and not challenge lanes. It's very important to learn how to do all of that stuff and learn how to adapt to what your enemy is doing. So as long as you keep trying to adapt and don't just keep doing the same thing over and over, you will grow as a player, guaranteed. And just before we get to the last 3 tips, if you've learned anything new here or found anything interesting, or just overall enjoying the video, please do remember to leave a like and comment. It does help with the YouTube algorithm a lot. And if you enjoy my content and would like to see more in the future, please consider subscribing. Thank you. Let's get right to the last tips. All right, now we're on to the last 3. These are the most important tips I can give anyone if they are looking to improve at PvP quickly. So number 8 is watch streamers. Now, I know what you're thinking. Watch streamers? There are so many good PvP players out there, and they are super accessible over on Twitch or YouTube or even Kick maybe. Now, I'm not going to say just sit there and watch them for enjoyment like you normally would. No. You need to sit there and study what they are doing. Watch how they play. See little habits that they have. Pick up on anything you can. When you watch them play trials or comp, do they go to the same spot every round? Do they challenge the same way? Do they go to different spots that you don't know of? When do they disengage from fights? How do they adapt to certain situations? How do they handle playing against certain play styles? I can't stress this enough. It is so important. If you actually take the time and watch how a better player plays and implement that into your gameplay, you will improve, I promise. So take the time and go out and find a streamer that you enjoy their play style, or somebody who plays similar to you. There are so many streamers over on Twitch or YouTube, like I said. You can find one that plays similar to how you want to play and just watch what they do. Just take some time and hell, even ask them some questions. I'm sure most of them would not mind answering some questions. All right, so we're on to number 9. And number 9 is watch your VODs. It doesn't matter if you're playing on a console or PC. They have made it super easy and super accessible to record your own gameplay. And this is by far one of the most important things you can do. When you watch your gameplay back, it makes it very easy to see where you're messing up and little errors that you're making. For example, I know when I started this whole YouTube thing, I had to watch back my gameplays a lot when I was editing. So I would catch a lot of little things that I would be like, why did I do that? What was I thinking? So on and so forth. One of the biggest things that I ever noticed that I'm super thankful that I picked up on. So when I was aiming, I noticed that when I was going for a flick, I would often stop right before the enemy. So I noticed that in my mind, I was like, wait, I should bump up my sense a little bit. I keep doing this same error over and over again. And personally, it helped me a lot. It made me feel more consistent. And if I had not watched back my VODs, I would not have known I needed to do that. So even just little things like that, or even positioning errors, you can very easily see that, oh, I wasn't really playing cover very well this game, or so on and so forth. No matter what game you watch, you will find some errors. It could be the best game of your life, and you will still look back at it and notice little things that you did wrong. Watching your VODs will make it so you can pick up on bad habits, because we all have them. You can maybe notice that you're looking at the floor a little too much. I know that's a bad habit of mine. And you can be like, I need to work on that. Or you can notice your sense is off, like I did. Or maybe you just basically see that you make stupid pushes that you really shouldn't make anymore. And it's not until you watch your own VODs back that you really pick up on it, or until someone else watches. But it makes it super easy to pretty much backseat yourself and fix those bad habits. I can't stress this enough. This is one of the most important things you can do. Just record your gameplay next time you do a session of Trials or Comp, and just watch some of the games back. Watch some of the bad games and watch even some of the good games. Just think about what you could have done differently. Now, lastly, we're on to number 10. And number 10 is, in my opinion, I know I've said this a few times, but this is really the thing that holds people back. Number 10 is play with intent. Now, what I mean by this is you have to want to get better. There's a difference between saying, I want to get better, and then also saying, I want to get better. It is a very different thing. There's a lot of times people are just like, oh, I'll get better. It's fine. I'll just keep playing. Getting better is a hard thing. It's not going to be an overnight thing. You need to put your time in, and you need to try to actually get better. There are things you can do to help speed it up, such as doing research, studying how other people's play, doing everything in this video, but it will take time, no matter what. The reason a lot of people have thousands of hours in games or just other activities in general, and they just don't really improve, is just they don't actually try, realistically. If someone wants to truly get better at something, they will. If you want to get better at something, you just need to focus on it. Every time you get on and play Destiny 2, you enter the comp playlist or trials, you just focus on working on something. It could be your aim one day. It could be focus on playing your life the next. And after a while of focusing on all of this and trying to get better at something and really putting the effort in, it will become human nature. If you really focus on it and want to get better at something, you will do it. Now, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you learned something. Let me know down in the comments if any of these helped you in any way or made you see anything differently. If you'd like me to maybe clarify a little bit more, I didn't want to spend too much time on this video. If I really went in depth into everything, this video would be an hour long. If there's any of these steps you'd want me to make a full length video on, let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much and have a good day.